All right, y'all. Shalom Aleichem. Appreciate y'all being here. So we're doing a sikha on Shavuos. The famous story, Moshe Rabbeinu goes up to Har Sinai to receive the Torah. And the Malachim ask Hashem, they say, Rabbeinu Sha'elam, master of the universe, what's Herzich, right? What's going on? Who is this person? Why is there a person up here in the heavens? So Hashem says, he came to get the Torah. So the Malachim are so confused by this. They say, wait a second. The Torah that according to the Zohar, you looked into the Torah and then created all of existence? That Torah? We're talking about the same Torah? And Hashem sits back and says to Moshe, nope. He lets Moshe Rabbeinu answer them. So they say, so he says to them, what's in the Torah, this Torah? Did you go down to Mitzrayim? The very first of the Seres HaDibros of the Ten Commandments says that I am Hashem your God, Anochi Hashem Alekacha, who took you out of Mitzrayim, took you out of Egypt. Did you ever go down into Egypt? And he goes through the Seres HaDibros, he goes through the Ten Commandments and essentially gives examples of why the Torah is very, very clearly specific to the Jewish people and not to the Malachim, not to the angels. And says that they acknowledge, okay, you got a point. So it's so fascinating. The Sikha is basically goes through the halachic analogy on basically the halachic stance of both sides of this conversation and why there's a right to each taina, each claim. So steht in Svarim, as you say, a taina al pi halacha von the malachim tana heidcha ala shemayim. Is das dina de bar metzra. Says that the halachic ground that the malachim are standing on is a halacha called the dina de bar metzra. Basically, essentially, it's the right of first refusal, that a person is selling a lot and the neighbor can say, I want it because my field is adjacent, is right next to your lot. So I want it. So the neighbor can come in and step in and say that. So the din is as eine verkaufte Feld zu a zweiten, the person is going to sell a field to somebody else. Hat der bar metzra, the shachen, the recht zu nehmen the Feld von dem lekeach. The neighbor can come in and say, no, I want it. Was is a teva for dem bar metzra zu haben seine Felder zusammen. It makes sense. The person wants to, the neighbor wants to have, I have this field, I need another field, I'm going to expand. If I have to buy a field somewhere else, I got to pay for transportation. I got to pay for whatever it is to get people to work that field and then bring the work here. It makes more sense if I have it all in one location. So this is definitely advantageous for the neighbor. And it says, and the Torah says, do right in the eyes of Hashem. So this is clearly what would be considered doing right, making sure that the neighbor who clearly has a need and this is going to help them. So why not give it to the neighbor? So this is where this halacha comes. Those haben the malachim geteinet, and this is why the malachim, they had this claim. This is their claim. Okay, it says vibald, the Torah is genuza. The Torah is hidden. The Torah is up here. You can find it up here in heaven. And since they're in Shemayim, they're in heaven. It says haben ze den din von bar metzra to become the Torah, based on halacha of bar metzra, of the neighbor gets the right of first refusal. Who's refusing the Torah? We want it, right? You should allow your glory to be here in heaven. Well, the mid is moving. Via Zoy the Malachim haben gewalt zu nehmen the Torah nach dem. Via state shine in Torah Tzav is b'nei Yisrael, Dabrel b'nei Yisrael. All throughout the Torah, it's clear. It's already decided who the recipient of the Torah is, right? Command the Jewish people, Daber, speak to the Jewish people, as b'nei Yisrael. All throughout it, we know who it's for. We know who it goes to. However, by the din, by the bar metzra, is as eich nach the mechira in the misalik the mekeach von dem sade und me get this up zum bar metzra, that even if the sale is final, the neighbor could come in and say, I want it. We could have gone through this easier. You could have come to me first, But now that I see that I saw the for sale sign, now I see the sold sign up there. Sorry, I got news for you. I want it. I'm the neighbor. It's mine. Right? So the neighbor could come in and you're supposed to do right by the neighbor. Okay, you know what? Fair enough. That'll help you out. Let me help you out. Right? Und als Abschlag auf Zehrteile gefindt men in Mefarshim Kommentarutze Mehem. There's many different answers that the Mefarshim, the commentary, give in response to the Malachim's Taina. And so we're going to figure out exactly how to slug up to kind of cancel out their or refute this claim of the Malachim. Aleph, the din von Bar Metzra is shaykh nar by karka, nit by metaltalin. Torah is doch nit karka. The first one is that this halacha of the neighbor being able to swoop in and have the right of first refusal is only relevant as it pertains to land, not something, a movable item, a movable object. And the Torah is not karka. It's a movable object. It's the Torah. Beis, dinner de bar metzra is nar by mechira, nit by matana. The Torah is gegeben geworden by matana. This halacha also by the neighbor being able to come in and get is not relevant to gifts. It's only relevant to a sale, right? The person is selling their lot. The neighbor wants it. The neighbor can have it. They can buy it. I mean, but we know that the Torah was given. It was a gift from matana. Gimel, the third thing, refutation, is Yidden seinen Krevim la'Kadosh Baruch Hu. Yidden are also close to Hashem. As it says, Mi God Gadol Asher Leila Elikim Krevim Elav. What nation is so great that is close to Hashem? Unachmer Yidden seinen Banim la'Makom. It says even furthermore that we're the son, right? Yisrael is the child of Hashem. We're Hashem's child. And by Krevim, and the halacha of the neighbor coming in and swooping in, the din of the bar metzra, does not override selling to a relative, a karev, right, or banim, or how much more so by a child. Dalit, the fourth one is if Moshe Rabbeinu state as there is given Isha Elikim. It says about Moshe Rabbeinu, Isha Elikim, he's a man of God. So Zog the Medrash, that from his waist down, basically he was a man, but waist up he was godly. This is what it says. The Medrash says about Moshe. There's Doch Moshe Rabbeinu given bar metzra to the Torah versus b'shamayim. Okay, so the Torah is in Shemayim, and the angels are saying we're the neighbors. Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, "Excuse me, I'm also a neighbor," right? Okay. The fifth one, of pasuk v'yamid ha'am al Moshe min ha'bakar ha'arev, that the Yidden were, that Moshe Rabbeinu was standing there from sun up to sundown, and they would ask him questions, right? The whole remember in Parshas Yisro, and Yisro comes along and says, "Listen, you need a team, you need judges, you need a court, you need dayanim, you need people to help you with all these shilas, these questions." So before this, though, we see that Moshe Rabbeinu was the one standing there and answering all these questions. Now, and it says about him, it says, "Dan din emes la'amita," that he was a true and just judge. Vos ke'ilu na'aseh shutuf la'kadosh baruch hu b'ma'aseh bereishis. Right? It says about Dayanim, it's brought in Hilchos Dayanim, in Choshen Mishpat, in the Shulchan Aruch, and basically it says that a Dayan who judges fairly he becomes a partner in creation with Hashem, a partner of Hashem. On the din and the halacha by Bar Metzra is like this: is as Oiv de Lekeach, is a shutuf from the maker. If the person buying, not the neighbor, but the person buying, the buyer of this lot, is a partner, a business partner to the seller, then he overrides, right? Gate nit on din the bar metzra. He overrides the neighbor's right of first refusal. So these are the five explanations that are given by commentary. The Mefarshim come and they refute what the Malachim say. Okay. So l'chayre kemen fragen of the letzte zwei terutzim. But we can ask a question on these last two answers. Moshe is doch kibul Torah Sinai. Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses receives the Torah Har Sinai, nit nor for zich, nor for alle Yidden. He doesn't just receive the Torah for himself. He's there to get the Torah for the whole Jewish people, right? Okay, so Moshe Rabbeinu is Isha Elokim, but I know there's a lot of them down there that might not be on that same level, correct? So Faram Mefarshim, was sagen? So the commentators say, Aleph, as alle Yidden seinen b'nei Metzra zu Torah. Not just Moshe, who was Isha Elokim, but all the Jews are neighbor to Hashem, right? Varam neshamas von Yidden seinen Gesures mitachas kisei hakavod. Says that the neshamas, the souls of the Jewish people, were carved from the throne of glory of Hashem, coming from Atzilus, right? Second one is B'shas Matan Torah seinen alle Yidden gewen shutfim la'Kadosh Baruch Hu. So we already discussed why all the Jews are also considered neighbors to Hashem and to the Torah. Now we're going to how not only Moshe was a partner in creation with Hashem, we're also partners in creation with Hashem, because it says that by the time of Matan Torah, the Baal Yidden haben Shein gehad the mitzvah from Shabbos in Mara. In Mara, we received the mitzvah of Shabbos, right? And it's far Matan Torah. This happened before Matan Torah. V'amar Rizal, and it says that Kol hamispala be'erev Shabbos v'omer v'yachulu. Everybody who's davening erev Shabbos, the afternoon coming in the Shabbos, and they say v'yachulu ke'ilu nasu sheiktiv la'Kadosh Baruch Hu b'ma'aseh bereishis. By the time you say v'yachulu in davening for Shabbos night, you are bringing the reality of Shabbos into the world. You're essentially becoming a partner in creation with Hashem, right? So we're also a shittuv. We're also a partner with Hashem. We have to explain something though. In the alle gebrachte terutzim, va'ikar chaser men sefer. All of these answers, they're not really in the language of what Moshe Rabbeinu answered. When we look in the Gemara, that's not what it says. Okay, these are great explanations, and they for sure refute all the tinus of the malachim, of the angels, but it's not the language that Moshe Rabbeinu uses, right? So Cain, einer von Zever, nicht der Mond in dem Entfer von Moshe Rabbeinu to the malachim. You don't see these answers, these refutations in his answer to the malachim. Rabbi, in fact, to the contrary, is the letzte drei terutzim wer ausgebracht, rather, that the last three answers that he brought, they're seemingly the opposite of this answer of Moshe Rabbeinu. In the Terutzim wird untergestrachen, wie azay Moshe is Moshe und jeder Yid is Karev LaKadosh Baruch Hu is shaykh to Shemayim. Right? The last things that he's saying, that they're saying, these refutations, is highlighting the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu and the Yidden are close to Hashem, right? Okay, right? It's also close to Hashem, and they're partners with Hashem, right? Und is Hashaytif LaKadosh Baruch Hu, they're the partner in creation with Hashem. But the Gemara aber bringt arais, das verkehrte, the Gemara brings the opposite. It doesn't say any to highlight this greatness of Moshe and the greatness of the Yidden. In fact, the opposite is as the Torah is verbunden mit Yerida l'Mitzrayim. He starts by saying the Torah, hang on, the Torah is connected completely with the descent of the people going into Mitzrayim. Y'all didn't go into Mitzrayim. We went into Mitzrayim. That's what he answers with. He doesn't answer with the greatness. He doesn't try to boss up on the angels and say, oh, I'm also great. He's not playing big bank, little bank. He says, listen, yes, you're right. He doesn't feel like he has to match them. You're right. But that's not what the Torah is about. The Torah is about going into Mitzrayim, right? As bringt the Gashmius from the Lekeach. He brings up the materialism, the physicality. Listen, you're right. You're in Shemayim, and the Torah is in Shemayim. We're lowly people, right? We're down here on earth. We went into Mitzrayim. Biz Zukina, we have jealousy, right? It's a heart of a chula. We have an evil inclination. You're right. Azay is euch schwer in jeder von der erste, zweite Rutze, right? And so we see that there's also a difficulty in the first two answers. The klaus the kakasha. He's given like a general, basically the general question. He has this answer on it, right? So in dem erste teretz, in the first answer, das was bei Metaltelin is nicht da dinner de bar metzra, is war the time von dinner de bar metzra. Is haben beide Felder zusammen. The whole reason why this halacha of the neighbor being able to swoop in and have right of first refusal is because they want to have their fields together. It's nicht shaykh by metalton, and this isn't relevant with a movable object. That was the first thing we said, right? Waarom metalton ken men kaif ergets anders brengen them kaimai. You can go and get it somewhere else and bring it, right? Hey, listen, I really like that lazy boy. I like that sofa you had. I noticed that you're selling it to this person. With all due respect, I don't know you. I'm your neighbor. Let me go ahead and get that off your hands for you. Listen, I got it over there. You can go and buy one yourself and you can bring it home, right? That's a movable object. So this idea of Dina de Bar Metzra, of the neighbor being able to have right of first refusal, doesn't apply to a movable object, right? But the time is nit shaykh by Torah. So you could say, okay, the Torah isn't a karka. That's not lot. That's not, real estate. So it should be that that doesn't apply to the Torah. However, it doesn't at all, right? Because the Torah is a zach, was me ken ergich anders nit kriegen. You can't get the Torah somewhere else. It might be a movable object, but the whole reason it's not the bar metzra, the neighbor, the halach of the neighbor getting the right of first refusal is relevant to is not relevant to a movable object. Isn't just because it's a movable object. It's because you can get a movable object somewhere else and bring it home. But the Torah is not a movable object that you can get anywhere else. So the malachim have ground to stand on with this. So auf den zweiten Teretz, on the second explanation or the second answer, auf Teretz gefindt men drei Lashonos. There's three languages. There's three words really. Phrases that are used in relation to our receiving of the Torah. First, Yerusha, via state Torah Tzibalana Moshe Mairasha Kehilas Yaakov, right? The Torah that was given to Moshe is an inheritance, Yerusha, an inheritance to the people of Yaakov, to the Jewish people. Beis, the second one is a Mechira, sale. That Hashem says, I sold to you my Torah. So we see sale. And Gimel Matana. Gimel Matana's Tevis Nasan HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael Torah. There's three things, great gifts that Hashem gave to the Jewish people, and one of those is Torah. And furthermore, right, it says Uchanusach Tefillah, as we say in davening, in Pesach we say Zman Cheder Senu, during davening, the time of our redemption, right? When it comes to Shavuos, we say Zman Matan Cheder Senu, the time of the giving, the receiving of the Torah, that we receive this, that he gives us the Torah as a gift. When the drei Lashonos weist, if the drei Eifanen was is da in the Sheiches von Torah zu Yidden. And we see through these three expressions of the giving of the Torah how it's related to the Yidden, to the giving to the Jewish people. The fact that, however, one of these three is a reference to a sale is Doch Shaykh Dina de Bar Metzra of Torah. So the Malachim say, what was the second one you said? Right, sale. Okay, so we're coming and bringing the taina of Dina de Bar Metzra as it pertains to the Torah being a sale. Great. Okay. Another answer is like this. It's Faran. Vos lechuder is a masim to Lashon HaGemara, as it says in the Gemara, by Hektim Biur HaMefarshim. To preface with the explanation, as Tainas HaMalachim is ochelek hasoid shebetorah. The Malachim only wanted the mysticism, the secrets of the Torah, right? Oich Malachim weist as zum chelek hapshat v'asiya haben ze kein shayches nit. Okay, listen, you're right. Hey, he's right. We didn't go into Mitzrayim. I don't have a Yetzer Hara. I'm not worried about Avodah Zarah. I don't have any kind of influence on worshiping idols because I know it's just Hashem. You're right. As it pertains to the practical application of the Torah, we don't need it. But you know what? That side is finna stay up here. Right? It says, and the starters la Hashem, the secrets are for Hashem, v'haniglas lanu, and the revealed is for us. And I don't know I don't know the marker for this word, but the word is that if you just read it differently, that in the starters la Hashem, v'haniglas lanu, that the secrets of Hashem and the revealed are for us. Okay, but the Malachim maybe didn't hear this word, they didn't like it. So they said, no, we just want the side. We want the mysticism, we want the secrets of the Torah, then the starters, right? And that makes sense. It makes sense. If the mysticism is here, the secrets are up here, we're up here, you know what? Go on and let us just keep that piece, right? We just want a slice. We want that piece of the yard. We want the field that's closest to ours. That makes sense? Und wie bald es zu Jiden hat man gegeben das ganze Torah, und Malachen haben gekannt nehmen nar ein chelik. And since the whole Torah was given to the Yidden, Malachim, the angels just wanted one piece, right? Is the din as machar kol nechasav le'echad? If a person is selling their whole lot to one buyer, leis bav mishum din of the bar metzra. Hey, listen, I know you just want this field that's right next to yours, and it would be so advantageous for you and your whole operation. But listen, I'm selling my whole thing as a package deal. It's a package deal. The buyer came in, he wants the whole thing. Hey, sorry, the halacha does not apply. I got to give him the whole thing. Okay. And there's also a halacha that as Aib, the matrin darfis haben leharvacha, und the lekeach darfis vad dechika le'sha'aita. If a person is in need, right? Say, hey, listen, my field, I got a bad plot of land. Okay. I got a bad plot of land. I'm going bankrupt. I need this plot of land to stay afloat. Whereas the neighbor is like, listen, business is good. Things are going well. As you know, land over here is fantastic. Let me go ahead and get that slice of yard from you so I can just expand. It says, right, gate nit on dinah de bar metzra. The halacha that you give to the neighbor doesn't apply here because that person needs it. He just wants it, right? And so also we can apply that to our situation. Das was jeden darfen haben Torah is es bedugmas de chika leishaita. We need the Torah, right? Especially at the time that he gave it to us, we for sure were in need of it, right? Val Torah is the chayis von Yidden, heim chayenu. The Torah is the life of the Jewish people. We need that. Und durch Torah is a Yid menatseach zayin yetzer hara. And this is how we fight and defeat the yetzer hara, evil inclination. The Torah helps us with that. Kamayim Rizal, as the Chazal say, as the sages say, barasi yetzer hara ubarasi le Torah tavlin. That you created a yetzer hara, but you also created and gave us a Torah that's a spice, right? It's like a mace, like pepper spray. Probably not something so sharp, so strong, but yes, the Torah is a spice that defends us from the yetzer hara. We need that. We're literally in a situation of need. That the malachim don't need it, they want it. They don't have a yetzer hara. Is this al derech l'haravacha? They just wanted to expand. Hey, listen, water's great up here. Let us go ahead and get that slice of soy. However, on these answers, we could ask the question: Das was Moshe hat geentfert l'Mitzrayim yiradetem klumatem eizem malacha mazav matin avaim yetzer hara yesh b'nechem. Right? He asked the malachim, "Do you have? Did you go down to Mitzrayim? Do you have troubles not working on Shavuos? Right? Do you deal in commerce with selling and giving gifts and things like that? Do you have a mother and a father? Do you have a yetzer hara, evil inclination? As malachim seinen nit shaykh zu chelik hapshat v'asiyah sheb'Torah is doch bei zeh kein chiddush nit gewähnt, right? Okay, yes, the Torah, the malachim said, or the angel said, you're right. The practical application of the Torah, not necessary. You're right. The malachim haben das gewusst von früher und haben der Rebbe melachachile gegeben. They wanted from the outset that we should get the secrets of the Torah. I was never asking about the practical application. Are you asking me a rhetorical question, Moshe? Of course we didn't go to the Mitzrayim. Of course we don't need A, B, or C. We don't have a yetzer hara. We don't want to engage in avodah zara, right? Of course not. Why are you even asking me that? You know what I want. We want the say. We want mysticism. On the entfer, of them as macher kol nechasav le'echad leisba mishum the dinah de bar metzra. So the answer on the fact that no, sorry, if I'm giving the whole lot to somebody, they get the whole thing, we don't get to separate a piece and give it to the neighbor, right? Other as Torah is the chayes von Yidden, where do we see a reference to him saying that we need the Torah, we live by the Torah? Where's this reference? In the actual, this is a great explanation, it's a great refutation, but where is it, right? In the language of Moshe. Und das ist the Chika Leisha Aita. Bei jedem mit seinem Melchames HaYetzer is a hezber from the matzav was Yetzer Hara yesh beinechem. Okay, the fact that we go to war with our Yetzer Hara and they don't have a Yetzer Hara, that's what he's answering. When he said, do you have a Yetzer Hara? We need the Torah because the Torah is how we fight the Yetzer Hara. That's where that answer is. Okay? Alle von dem Loschen von Tshuvas Moshe Rabbeinu v'harichus b'zeh klum atem oizim malacha mazel maten ava eim yesh lechem is mashma. We can learn out from the fact that he answered all these other pieces, right? That he says you don't work, you don't have to stop working on Shabbos, you don't deal in commerce, you don't have a father and a mother, right? We learn out from this as the tshuva to the malachim is nit azoy mitzad inyan from melchemes hayetzer. It's not just about we need it because we need it to fight off our Yetzer Hara, right? Nor mitzadam klausdik in Indian, even in a general sense, as chelik apshat v'asiyim shevatayra is nit shaykh by malachim. He's saying in general the Torah is not relevant for you. It's not necessary for you. In the Bir of Azeh, the explanation is like this: the tachlis from Torah. Now we're getting into the answer, right? This is how it works. By looking through the sikhs that go, like looking through the nigla, being able to have a kasha on a question on something in nigla and answering it through nigla and looking at the possible answers that were already given, like commentary and different giants in Torah, and then showing how they fall short in some way. Then by bringing the Pneumius HaTorah, looking at the whole scenario through the lens of Chassidus. This is what's so great about the Sikhs is that it's Torah's Achas, is showing how it's Torah's Achas. Not only that Nister and Nigla, that the Pneumius HaTorah, the inner dimensions of Torah, and the revealed parts of Torah are one Torah, and we can look at them the same and side by side, but know that they intermingle so much so that sometimes you need one to understand the other, right? It's a deep, deep thing. So this is where we're going with this. Is the Bir of Azeh. Explanation is like this. The Tachlis from Torah is was al yada ver durchgeführt the kavanas abrias von nesaba hakadosh baruch hu li is lo yisbarach dir b'tachtonim. The whole purpose of the Torah is in order to fulfill the ultimate purpose, which is to create what Hashem wanted to create in this world a dwelling place for Hashem. Right? This is what he wanted. V'yadur the diuk in Vart Dira as a zoi wie is a Dira gefindt sich der Adam b'chol atzmusei. We see by a home that when a person is at home, you let your hair down, right? You are who you are and how you are as you are at home. You are who you're yourself. You let your hair down, exactly. Okay. And this is what Hashem wanted. Hashem wanted, make for me a home down there, so much so, a home for me that I can let my hair down. Right? Und das wird aufgetan durch Torah, weil durch Torah is oisi atem leikachim. That's why it says, Hashem says, when you have the Torah, you take me with it. Right? And this is where the whole taina of the malachim falls off. Okay, the din is as oib the bar metzra vil the sade oib zriya und the leikeach oib binyan bias. If the neighbor needs the field because he wants to grow his business, but the buyer is interested in building a home, the din, the halacha is, it goes to the buyer who wants to build a home, right? Why? Gitmen the sadet zum lekeach val yishuv adu v'leis b'shum dina de bar metzra, because it's more important that we dwell in the land, that you build a home, than it is to grow your business. And we can look at our situation the same way. Vibal, as the tachlis from Tater is lasis leis baruch dira. A bias b'tachtonim. The whole purpose of the Torah is to create a home in this world, this low world for Hashem. Fault up. Tainas Amalachim, it's Adina de Bar Metra. This is where they fall short even further. Und das is was Moshe Rabbeinu hat geantwortet lemitzrayim yeradetem klum atem eizem malacha maso matin yesh beinechem, right? The whole issue of Moshe Rabbeinu was bringing all these other explanations as to how is this relevant to you, is because it's not relevant to the malachim in their world. Torah is shaykh to Yidden, wie das ist verbunden mit Yishuv ha'olam. It's relevant to us because we're the ones who are dwelling in this world. We're making a home in this world. Olam hazeh hagashmi, the physical world here. Bein amin kinayesh, right? In a land where we're amongst nations that have avodah zara, chas v'shalom, and jealousy, right? This is here, davka. Varam Torah is gegeben geworden, to make a home down here where those things are relevant. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu didn't boss up on the malachim, on the angels. Oh, I'm holy too. Oh, the Yidden are carved, the neshamas are carved from the Kisei HaKavod. We're not playing big bank, little bank with the malachim. We're saying, what is the Torah actually for, and who is it shaykh to? Wait, I skipped. Hang on. Das was mahat nit gegeben Torah to the malachim. This is why the Torah wasn't given to the malachim. It's just nit by the yodim darfin nit onkumen to the hamshachas ha'atzmus al Torah. It's not that the malachim don't also need to benefit from bringing Hashem Himself down into their world. They also want to make a dira b'tach tainim. A dira b'tach tainim, more like dira be'el yodim. They also want to make a home in their worlds for Hashem, and they need the Torah to do that. Says in the higher worlds there is a revelation of godliness, but it's only a ray, a ha'ara of this light of Hashem. They need also to draw down this godly light. But it's through the work that we do down here that we're able to draw down Atzmas, Hashem Himself. A dira lo yisbarech, a home for Hashem. In ganzen Seder Hishtalshelus, when we create a world, a home in this world for Hashem, and Hashem lives way up, He has to drive through all of the worlds to get to home. If we're making a home here and these other worlds are on the way to here, we're going to draw down that godliness in the dira el yoinim as well, just by bringing them down here. So it's in the malachim's best interest that the Torah is given to us. Moshe Rabbeinu is not saying it's me or y'all. He's saying it's me so that it's me and y'all. You do the muscle of them, and the muscle, the analogy, which I always use this analogy, I think is perfect. This is obviously where I got it from, right? As mevil ufheben abinyan durch clay hahagba nikra lever. If a person wants to lift a building using a lever that can create some kind of lift for the building, so darfman unterlegen. You have to put this lever underneath the bottom of the whole thing. If you have a stack and you want to lift the whole entire stack, if you lift from the middle or you lift from the top, you're only going to actually lift what you're holding. But if you lift all the way from the bottom, you get, not only do you elevate the bottom, but you elevate everything that's on top of it, right? So if you lift from the middle or the top, you're not going to lift the bottom. And that's why the Torah had to be given down here, to the Torah down here in the lowest world. What is that? Durch them, hang on a second. There's nothing lower than this world, right? Let me tell you, this is the lowest world. So durch them aufgehoben dem ganze Binyan von Seder Hishtalshelus. By lifting up this bottom, this lowest world, we lift up all the Seder Hishtalshelus, all of existence. Okay, und das ist euch, was Moshe hat margish gewinnen in sein Tshuva. This is what he's emphasizing. Moshe is emphasizing in his answer to them. Kina yesh beinechem, yetzer hara yesh beinechem. You have jealousy. You have an evil inclination, right? Uf areis zu bringen, wie das is the Eilim hatachtain b'madrega she'ein tachton lamata memeno be'inyan hester eire yisbarach ad shahu male klipas. He's talking about things that are only relevant in this lowest world. If the whole purpose of the Torah is to create a dira b'tachtonim because it's going to uplift all the worlds, then let me tell you why our world is the lowest world, and you're not in it. It's our world that's the lowest. There's nothing lower than jealousy. There's nothing lower than an evil inclination, avodah zara. This is the lowest world. We need the Torah to do what Hashem wants, not for our own benefit, but for for your benefit, right? This is a world full of klipa, a world full of concealment of godliness, of the possibility of evil and bad things. This is where we need it. It doesn't get lower than this. This is moving. However, we have to understand, emes taka, it's true, really. As bichdei zu machen adira le'yisbarach b'tachtenim, darf man haben the Torah lamata. It's true that in order to create a dira in the lowest world, we need the Torah down here. Okay. Das nehmt aber nit arab the tainis hamalachim mitzad dina de bar metzra. That's great. You need the Torah. How does the whole din, the halacha that a neighbor gets the right of first refusal, not apply? You need it, fine, fantastic. But we're still the bar metzra, right? Safe. Seinen sie b'nei metzra. At the end of the day, they're the neighbor. Und sie willen machen a dira, a bias. And yeah, they also want to make a dira in the higher worlds, maybe, but they still want to make a dira, right? I also need the Torah. I'm the neighbor, and I also need the Torah. Okay. So Mosman sagen, as the Indian from dira lo yisbarach am shachas ha'atzmus, the fact that we have to say that the whole point of making a dira is bringing the atzmus Hashem down. That can't be achieved through the work and the service of the angels. They can't achieve it. It's only through the work that happens in this lowest world that we're actually able to bring Atzmus and Hashem himself down into the worlds, all of the worlds, right? So the Bir V'Tama Davar, the explanation and the reason, the answer over here, is the Koyach HaAtzmus was in Teira Vertnis Gale und Kumt Arais Bepoel in der Avodah von der Neshama, wie sie gefindt sich in der Meitzarim und Gvudim von Elam Hazeh. This happens only, this koyach, this ability to do this, is only revealed in a neshama as it exists down in this physical world, a world of physical limitation, right? The neshama kuntarap in an eila, male klipas, sitra achrish, hey neged Hashem mamish. It comes down into a physical world, a world full of klipa, a world full of concealment of godliness, a world full of actual snagdas, right? Opposition to Hashem. And then the little neshama has to come into this world to be surrounded by this, right? Und in dem niedrigen Eilam is a leiche mitten Yetzer Hara, and in this lowest world is where the neshama has to fight and go to war with the Yetzer Hara, with the evil inclination. Brech durch alle ha'elamas v'histarem. It has to break through all of these high and hidden worlds, right? And is able to transform the darkness into light. Thus, the skafia und es habcha von klipas shehei neged Hashem mamish to an inyan shel kedusha, and to transform these things that are in opposition to Hashem and turn those things into a thing of godliness, a thing of righteousness and holy. Is an inyan shel his chadshus. This is the whole idea of making something new, making a new thing. Right? Men machten von dem yeshus, ayin. We make from something that has ego, right? A yeshus. Yesh means there is in existence, right? Basically, yesh. So yeshus is ego. This idea that there's an independent existence that's removed from Hashem. I'm me, right? And the world is full of that kind of false awareness, right? Und the koyach is chadshus is ba'atzmus yisbarach, the ability to create this new identity from something that has a yeshus, right? It comes from Hashem. Only Hashem can create something yesh ma'ayin, something from nothing. Nothing. Not nothing, but yesh ma'ayin, something from nothing, means something can materialize from nothing, it has to come from Hashem. So the ayin doesn't mean ayin, nothing, chas v'shalom. It means the ayin, the unknown, the nothing as it pertains to creation, to existence. It comes from beyond. So to create something from nothing. So he gives us the ability to create back to nothingness. We have the ability to create something, take something that has a yeshus and a feeling of ego and existence and turn it back to its nothing. And we see this in Moshe's answer, right? In the Taina of in his answer, do you have a father and a mother? This is where he says it. It says Yedua as the inyan fun haylada is a me'ain fun the hischachus ma'ayin the yesh, right? Child rear, having a child, we see a glimmer of this power to create something from nothing, right? Was the fires das nor b'koyach ha'ein sof, and this also comes only from the Ein Sof, from Hashem himself, right? When the koyach is nita by malachim, and the malachim, the angels don't have this, right? On Yom Kippur, it says that men dress in white. How come the women don't have to dress in white? They can, obviously, but why not? So men dress in white because we want to resemble the angels, which means the angels resemble men. Why don't the angels resemble women? It's because they're not holding there. Women create, women give birth, they create life. Men don't. And therefore, since the malachim don't, we know that the angels look, however you want to put that or say that, they resemble men who don't create, right? Und das hat Moshe Rabbeinu geteilt, as the koyach is chadshus is da by neshamas lamata. So the ability to create something new is only relevant to neshamas down here in this lowest world, right? Was durch zeder avede in elam hase seinen ze meilidin, men nimmt dvarim atachtenim und man macht von ze wa ayedezu von ganze seder stauseles a dirla atzmusa und mahusa yisbarach. Through our work down here in this physical world with physical things that have a yeshus of some sort, of some sense, and we're able to make from that yeshus and this chadshus a brand new thing, something that has completely foregone its ego and recognized its source in the ayin, its source in Hashem. And in doing so, we create a dirle yisbarach b'tachtainim, a home for Hashem himself in this lowest world and all the worlds above included. Shabbos, good Yantiv. Have such a great Chag. I'll see you next week, God willing.